Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Salesforce Ben LinkedIn Live. And I think this is the first one we've done with our new purple branding. So yeah, hopefully everyone likes the new look and feel. And today we're going to be talking about AI and how to maximize user adoption with AI, which I think is really interesting. You know, AI is going to pretty much affect every type of solution or issue or pain point in the Salesforce ecosystem, and hopefully provide very slick solutions. And we're going to talk about an example of that today. So it's my pleasure to introduce Luca from Native Video. How's it going, Luca?
Hey, Ben, it's going well. Thank you very much for inviting me within this LinkedIn Live. And first of all, congratulations on the new logo, the new look and feel. I think it's super modern, full of energy. I really like it, actually. Congrats.
Nice. Yeah, the project's been a long time coming, so it's very nice to finally get it out there. So yeah, thank you very much. But I'll hand over to you now, Luca. Just as a reminder for everyone, we're going to have a Q&A with Luca at the end. So if you've got any questions to do with anything you see, or AI, or user adoption in general, then just let us know. Over to you, Luca. See you in a bit.
Yes, well, thank you, Ben, and hello, everybody. This is Luca. I'm excited to be here. Actually, I participated into a few of the LinkedIn Live and webinars with Salesforce Ben, and I always love the interaction and the very thoughtful questions that are asked by you guys, the audience. So I'm looking forward to your questions and your comments, and let's make this kind of a free-flowing conversation regarding user adoption and AI in Salesforce. Hopefully a topic that is relevant to you. Well, if you joined or if you're looking this as a recorded, then it definitely makes sense for you. Well, I have a few slides for us to go through, and then if we have time, we'll take a look at a couple of tools, and then we'll turn on the question and answers at the end. In our conversation, we're going to focus on 3 key areas of how we see our clients are embracing AI, and that is actually helping them drive adoption as a kind of a short-term, immediate tactical gain, and then looking at the strategy that comes with adopting AI and making sure that users have a reason and value in adding all their updates, either automatically or proactively, into their Salesforce, especially looking towards what's coming with AI and the future of GPT. If you see my slides, are we looking at the slides? I'm not sure if we can turn on the slides. I can.
Are you sharing your screen, Luca?
I am. I think I am. Am I not?
I can't see.
So let me make sure. I thought I did, but
I see it now. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you very much. So this is us. Well, thank you, Ben, for the intro. So as I was mentioning, we are, kind of looking at why we're talking about AI and why it's the right time to embrace AI right now for everything across your operations. But specifically, we're going to focus on 3 key areas. One is training, and training for the future, as we call it. Then we're going to look at a couple of ways to create automation that are probably very basic, but we've seen a lot of people that are not doing it. And then we're looking at what is automation 2.0. And at that point, we'll open up for question and answers. This slide with the beautiful background of the new Salesforce Ben logo and look and feel tells us that it's time to embrace AI. And I don't know if you've noticed around you, but it's definitely, AI is definitely here, and it's here to stay. Interestingly, when researching for the content that we put together, it's actually, the excuse, it's the content of an ebook that we've launched that looks at exactly these themes. But as we were researching for that ebook content and for this webinar, we found a Salesforce Forrester State of the CRM report that actually looks at a prediction. 79% of the organization will be using AI-powered automation by this year, which is very interesting because I believe they didn't know that OpenAI and ChatGPT, which was the big booster at the end of last year, would actually revolutionize our world and bring AI to the forefront. And the AI revolution that comes is also obviously captured and embraced fully by our ultimate leader in the ecosystem, Mark Benioff, that actually puts it very clearly, which is we all need to be preparing for the AI, for generative AI that is coming, and the way to prepare for it is to get our data together. They must organize and prepare their data. So there's a renewed attention paid to the data strategy. And that's why it's important to talk today about AI and adoption in the context of tackling first poor data. And the parallel that we want to make at the very beginning here is that poor data is resulting typically from poor adoption. You and I'm an admin, and you may be an admin. You are in a position of leadership in your organization, or a position, within the operation systems in your organization. We've been working to create beautiful Salesforce pages with everything laid out perfectly. What we think is a very, great user experience for our users, and still we are seeing users not fully adopting it, not embracing it. And as a matter of fact, a few stats on this slide actually capture the very fact that 32% and 27% of the employees, around a third of us, believe that their CRM system actually provides that promise of the single view of the customer. We also have a Gartner report that suggests that there's a cost associated with poor data. And the point that we're making today, with the advent of AI, or the AI looming maybe just around the corner for us, is that AI and the cost of not having the cost of not having data in order right now is only going to grow, because the impact of AI will be proportionate to the quality of the data that we have in our Salesforce. And that's why talking about data means talking about adoption today. This is a sort of a representation of a vicious cycle that we've seen with a lot of the customers that we've been talking to, because there's poor data out there in Salesforce orgs that actually leads to poor insights. Poor insights lead to poor decisions based on poor data to start with. And then that actually produces lack of trust. And that lack of trust comes with a reluctancy, maybe, to actually connect to Salesforce in the first place, and to the data in Salesforce in the first place. If users don't see the point, they feel like it's a burden put on them to update their Salesforce, to bring their new contacts, their new, the latest information, the latest changes in an opportunity they're working with, a partnership that they're working towards. Well, that actually means that they will not trust the data. They will not, they will not use it ultimately, and that actually will continue to kind of put more bad data or no data at all in your Salesforce. So how do we change that? How do we turn this on its head and we deliver great adoption using AI? The first step has to do with the user. So our focus is on the users here, and it starts with training. And the point that we're making about training is probably obvious. A couple of stats here as well, that there's a whole day a week spent doing admin across the board for all Salesforce users. And actually, if they don't know exactly what to do, they're actually spending even more time, and maybe they're not even maximizing their ability to update their system and do their admin. So there is a mandate to start with the foundation level, really, on training the users. And as you can see, we have on this slide a very interesting additional step that is mandatory that we take right now if we want to train for the future. So if we make and we agree that users need to be trained, they need to know how to update their Salesforce. We then agree also that in order to ready our org for the future of AI, we need to add those training material directly in Salesforce. and not in another system that sits outside of the organization where best practices and processes and methodologies are stored, but they're not visible to the AI that we will plug to our org in the near future. In an obviously foreseeable future where some parts of our operations in CRM, in our Salesforce org, are run through AI, we need, and it's mandatory, that we have information about our methodologies, best practices, and training material. It's all in Salesforce. And in the spirit of what we've seen with Salesforce PAN, we want to provide some basic recommendations how to create training opportunities for your users, but especially the message here is create those training opportunities inside your org. Make them visible to Einstein GPT so that when it comes knocking on your door and it starts to look around for information to create the best recommendation, to create the best generative insights in the future, it's actually based on something that you want, and your best practices, your methodologies are all visible to Einstein GPT. So that's our first point, right? So training for the future. If we move on to the second point, there's another maybe obvious to most of the people that are here point that we want to make and step that we need to take to create consistent, complete, and frequent data in our Salesforce. How do we do that? Well, we call it automation 1.0. And again, it might be very straightforward and very intuitive, but we've seen way too many companies that are not even laying these basic bricks upon which they build their data strategy. And the recommendation here is very straightforward. Make sure that all the emails and all the calendar interaction at the very least are captured directly in your Salesforce. So connect the inbox of the users, their calendar, connect that automatically with Salesforce. Salesforce itself actually provides means and ways to do that very easily. But there are some quite interesting additional solutions like the ones on the screen here that really go a long way in helping with that type of automation as well. So automation 1.0, lay the foundation. After you train your users, you make sure that they're up to date with the best methodology in Salesforce, so natively built within your org. Make sure that you start to capture in the background all their activity automatically in Salesforce. And then, we're getting to a new level here where we are layering AI to help our users gather richer and deeper insights, because that's what's going to fuel the real information in your Salesforce today and going forward. And that's really ultimately what will make a difference when you plug your Einstein GPT, whatever the AI will look like and will be called in the next couple of years, that we all agree is going to be playing a major role in our operations and CRM. So let's actually look at it. It's a relatively straightforward, I think, approach here, what we call automation 2.0. So once you have all your emails, once you have all your calendar updates, how do you use AI to drive adoption within your Salesforce? You need to empower your users and to reverse that vicious cycle that we saw earlier with poor data leading to poor insights, lack of trust, and therefore poor adoption. How do we break that? Well, we use something that is becoming more and more obvious. And if it's not obvious today for you, it will be obvious very much within the next few weeks, maybe, or definitely within the next year, which is using AI to capture not only the interactions, but also to elaborate insights out of the interactions that are captured. Those insights and those, in the first place, the interactions that you're capturing will fuel with very rich insights all the information that you will need to then feed back to Einstein GPT to create the best insights and the best recommendations. So the two examples that we have on screen here are, AI call assistant and voice activated updates. AI call assistant, you have probably seen, you might have even used or experimented with one. Again, they're becoming ubiquitous. They make a lot of sense. Probably the most famous out there are the ones with Gong and Otter. They kind of pioneered this space. The point that we're making here is to make sure that if you use a call assistant with a sprinkle of AI on it, make sure that it's actually native to your Salesforce, so that it brings all that information that is captured directly in your Salesforce. The risk of using different solutions, especially when AI is driving them, is that you're actually building a lot of information, you're capturing a lot of data in a new silo, so not in your Salesforce. And that actually, instead of becoming a competitive advantage, once AI will need to elaborate thoughts and insights out of it, it's actually a disadvantage, because all that data is somewhere else and is not visible and is not present, is not helping further your virtuous cycle, as we called it earlier, with delivering value back to users directly in Salesforce and creating that Salesforce data trust that you want to create to bring back the users there. The other solution here is something that we've also implemented, and I have an example to show you, which is voice-activated updates. Again, in an effort to make it effortless for the users, and very modern as well, something that is almost like expected. We've seen stats that my generation and younger, 65% of people on a daily basis talk to their devices, be that your Alexa, your Siri, and so forth. So that same approach can be actually brought in Salesforce and activate some updates and via voice, which means again helping users with a very effortless action there to keep the records up to date and make sure that their Salesforce is always with the latest information in it. What this actually means is that once you captured, you actually trained your users, you've captured the basic information that is going on in their basic activities like email and calendar, you add a layer of actually being there, being present, being able to capture everything that happens in an interaction and an engagement with customers, with prospects, with partners. You bring all of that data in Salesforce, and then you, through AI, you elaborate insights out of it. You extract information, you extract suggestions, and you start to build the picture, to paint the picture for the users. That means that you're actually adding value to the user. And that's where you're breaking the vicious cycle and you're actually turning it into a virtuous cycle. Because the more data I add in Salesforce, the more calls I record and bring in Salesforce, the more voice-activated updates I create on the fly using my mobile or on my desktop, the more data I'll have in Salesforce. That actually will create more and more accurate insights for me and for the rest of the organization, for my manager and for whoever needs to look at with me and collaborate with me on this account, on this opportunity. That actually will lead to confident decision across the organization, which will mean that Salesforce is back in the trust processes, because it's those results lead to winning more, to creating more business and being more productive, which will in turn and automatically increase adoption. So we've come full circle, understanding why it's data important today more than ever with the advent of AI. We're actually using that same AI not only to kind of build a foundation for the AI of the future, but most importantly to bring back users into Salesforce and to help them, enable them to see and trust the data that they see and use the data to be better at what they do every day, which is engaging with customers and delivering success into their organization. Our solution, and I actually just realized I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Luca, and I, with the company that I co-founded, run a number of solutions and video and audio-based technology solutions in the App Exchange. And our latest one is Alfred. And actually, that's the excuse, to be on this call, to show you what we mean when we mention that there's a better way to use AI today to prepare your org for the future and bring your users back into loving Salesforce and using Salesforce through AI. So what I want to do is kind of show it in action a second. And as you can see, let me see. Yes. So here we are. I'm in a call. I joined the call. Hello, guys. How are you? You're live. Hey. So we have this call going, and we're discussing about things that are happening. Then I can leave this call. I can go into my Salesforce. I can update and refresh this page. And as you can see, we've captured here in a second, we've captured all the interactions that are happening in a call. We've captured the full transcription, and this is in text form. Salesforce loves text, and it will be feeding your global search. It will be creating all those insights directly from the full transcription. And then we sprinkle a bit of AI on top of it to help, through Alfred, create an executive summary. And this is a very interesting, kind of immediate understanding of what was going on during the call. We even create next steps that can be promoted to becoming tasks. So, these are generated through the AI based on the conversation that happened during the call. And, in this case, it's assigning it to different people. And just by clicking here, we can create the task. And we're even helping our users by drafting an email that is ready to be reviewed and, brought into your Gmail or your Outlook and sent out to all the users. So as you can see, we're leveraging AI to add a ton of value, create new productivity opportunities for our users. And then lastly, just to complete the picture, as I mentioned, we have an ability to automate conversations that are happening on a video call. And that's, again, maybe obvious right now. And then the other thing that we can do is click on a little button that says, "Hey, Alfred." And as I mentioned earlier, with Siri or your Google or Alexa approach, you can actually now talk to your Salesforce. It will understand. Maybe it will even, in this case, like suggest how you can record this particular update maybe after a meeting. Let's say my meeting was in person, right? So I met with a couple of clients. We were around the table. We discussed about things. I want to immediately update my Salesforce, and that makes it effortless for me to update my Salesforce just by talking to it. Then once I've recorded my note, that note will be transformed into. Sorry, I was scrolling. There we go. It will be transformed into an update that, again, is available in the right place, in a contact, in an opportunity, in an account, with the full transcription of everything that I debriefed about. The executive summary will be automatically created for me. Some follow-up next steps will be created, and an email will be drafted to help me follow up after this conversation. So this is just an example. It's obviously our example. We're very proud of it. Our clients are loving how this is saving a ton of time. But as I mentioned, it's making their users fall back in love with Salesforce, because Salesforce becomes a destination for their day. They go there, they organize, their follow-ups. They have, everything laid out in front of them, automatically captured in their contacts, in their opportunities, and that really, boosts and propels them to deliver better customer interaction, better follow-ups, and ultimately win more. I'm going to stop now for a second, as Alfred keeps listening. I'm going to go back here. I want to conclude with a quick mention, a quick quote, actually, from Ben himself. We were debating about this, the content of this conversation, and we agreed on how using AI to support users' adoption ignites that virtuous cycle that we were talking about for great Salesforce data, leading to ultimately great business insight, which is now an imperative to start building better data, preparing your or Einstein GPT. And again, today we call it Einstein GPT. God knows what we will call it tomorrow. And ultimately using AI competitive advantage rather than, kind of lagging behind because of, poor data and, therefore poor insights generated through it. I think we are ready for Q&A. How are we doing on time? I think we're rather good. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, we are right on time, and thank you so much for that great presentation and for including the quote from me as well. I think it's, there's so much talk of data and AI at the moment, and for good reason, because it's just so important. And I think it's easy to get distracted by AI and how exciting it is, and kind of ignore the data in your org and the quality of it. But of course, it's imperative to getting any useful insights out of your data and using AI. So
that's
yeah,
great. I'll tell you something more, because we're talking about adoption. One thing that we are seeing is that some of the companies that are adopting our solution, one of the immediate impact, we are seeing an immediate adoption of our solution. And I think one of the drivers is that because people want to start using AI. I think they're just looking for an excuse. And as soon as they have it, even just the novelty element brings them immediately on board. And then obviously there, you start building value, and that's why they come back. But I think it's interesting that AI is not only relevant for us, and we're joining AI calls and we're talking about AI, but it's really relevant for everybody out there, and they're trying to figure out how does it fit within their day and their operations.
Yeah, definitely. And it does look like your product Alpha does look like quite easy to get set up on. There are some AI products out there which maybe some Einstein GPT stuff, which looks really exciting, but it does require a big implementation to get started. But this looks like it's quite nice and easy to get settled in with it.
Definitely is.
Nice, great, thank you.
Do you see questions?
Yes, I see some questions coming through. So just as a reminder, we're going to have a Q&A now. So if you've got any questions for myself or Luca, we'd be very happy to answer your questions. So I've got a question here that is referencing something that you mentioned earlier. You had a slide up which was talking about Einstein GP and reading training materials and using it for suggestions. So how can you maybe explain about how you kind of foresee that working?
Yes, I mean, again, this is pure speculation on my part, but everything that we've seen coming from Salesforce, and you and I were at Dreamforce, was it a month and a half ago, and there was a lot of information provided that started from a point of you have all this data in your Salesforce, Einstein GPT is using it to generate this type of insight. And the examples were predominantly on the sales side, on the service side, right? So that's what we saw. There is a whole area that is so relevant for all Salesforce users, and that's training. There are plenty of opportunities and probably plenty of needs actually for, especially maybe even with the AI coming, how to use it, even the training for AI itself, and there are plenty of opportunities to create those training material directly on Salesforce. So I can see in a next wave of GPT presented to us, the data that will be analyzed by Einstein GPT will actually be a bit more holistic than just the latest interaction with a client to create an email or the latest service calls that have come in to create some material for Q&A. I see it kind of elevated to the level of the whole comprehensive database of information that is in Salesforce will be analyzed and parsed through the AI to generate several different ways of and value for users. And I foresee, and again, it's pure speculation, but I wouldn't see any reason why not. Einstein wouldn't actually start to work learning your training and your best practices to then use it to suggest what you should do next. Your methodology, you're using BANT, that's how we talk about Band, and we train our users to use Band, that authority, need, and timeline. How is that applied in this particular opportunity, and what's missing there? So to me, it feels a bit natural, and I think we need to start to take care of it today. And that's why training is so important, and doing training on a native solution is probably the one that is readying you for the future.
Yeah, completely agree. And there's one here which I think is talking about Alfred, but given or I can bring it up on the screen actually, given the amount of data collected, how does this impact data storage limits within Salesforce at the user level?
That's a very good point. And I think the important and the relevant part of our technology that addresses that particular element, talking about the large data set, which is typically the video itself or the audio itself. That is actually through our expertise. We've been building video solutions for Salesforce for the best part of 4 or 5 years now, is that you can securely connect your own AWS, your own Azure, or even just completely rely on our backend to secure that data storage and streaming is actually not in your Salesforce. That actually saves a lot of data space, and make sure that you don't incur into kind of clogging your Salesforce, or even maybe having to spend more to store large data set. Salesforce doesn't do a great job in handling large files, and that's why we created it externally. So to answer the question, I think text will not be a problem. The large amount of text, I think Salesforce is completely and absolutely capable of dealing with it. The large data files, so typically video and audio, not so much, and that's where a solution like ours can actually help storing them outside of Salesforce.
Cool, great, thank you very much, Luca. There's a question here from Julian saying, are there good sources for Einstein GPT prompt engineering? But I'm not 100% sure.
So, well, I would ask Ben that particular question. I think prompt engineering is actually quite interesting and a big area of growth and impact, both personally for us as users and professionally in this space, and broadly speaking, a fundamental component of doing AI right. With our solution, we obviously built prompts in order to extract specific information out of the data that Alfred is capturing automatically. So after a call is recorded and transcribed, with a prompt to extract, create a title, create the summary, create the next steps, and generate a drafted email, for instance. All of those are the result of prompts that we actually put in the hands of our users. So we have the default prompts, and then they can start experimenting with some prompt engineering of themselves if they want to customize the way in which the information is displayed back in Salesforce, or it's actually generated and then displayed in Salesforce. I wouldn't know about good sources out of the top of my head for prompt engineering, but there's a lot happening in that space, and it's a fundamental building block of good AI practices. So it's definitely relevant.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's kind of a bit like being good at Google, like, or Googling, how there's a certain skill, to find the information that you want, using the right keywords, using, quotation marks and things like that. And I kind of feel when I'm talking to ChatGPT or something, you have to phrase things in a certain way to get the response that you want. So I think, Einstein GPT, I don't think many of us have really got our hands on it yet. It's in kind of closed pilots and things like that. So it'd be super interesting to see how the prompt studio, I think it's called, is going to work. How because you kind of write out the instructions right in a text field, and then the prompt goes to Einstein GPT or GPT 3 or 4 or whatever, and then brings back the result. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see how that works. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, not too many resources because it's not really public yet. But I believe the prompt studio is coming out this month or next month, I think, last time I read. So
we'll definitely take a look.
See how that goes. It's quite an interesting question here from Sujanya. So yeah, obviously Alfred is kind of a new way for sales to interact with Salesforce. So how do you go about kind of making that switch? Have you or maybe how have your existing customers found that?
So it's a very good question. As I mentioned, adoption has been incredible. To start with, one, because on the one hand is automated, on the other hand is because, again, you're giving back value to users, and as soon as they start to see that, they will immediately embrace it. The reality of something like Alfred, both in the voice activated notes, right? So the voice activated updates, and with even more with call recording and transcribing, they basically need very little change management, because ultimately you're already ideally going back to your Salesforce and typing out your note, or making a couple of updates, and it's just a matter of, instead of typing, just saying it, and saying it in a very natural way, and in your own language. Even we have Alfred speaking more than 30 languages across the globe, and then the ability to translate, not only transcribe but also translate in the official language, maybe of Salesforce or something like that. But so what I'm saying here is that change management is not something that we've seen as a major blocker. Quite the opposite, I have to say, with users immediately jumping on it, getting a grip immediately of the button that they need to push on their mobile phone, or the Hey Alfred button that sits in their desktop, and just talking to Salesforce as if, or to Alfred in our case, as if they were debriefing with their boss. Hey, how was the meeting? How was the call? What happened with that client? And they just spell it out, and that's captured automatically.
Yeah, great. And one from Bill here as well. Any thoughts about how this works for mobile users?
Yeah, good point. I think in mobile, we've seen actually a lot of interesting areas of impact. Just coming back, this is a native solution, so it will work out of your Salesforce app. So if you have your Salesforce app on your mobile phone, you'll go to the contact, the opportunity, the account, whatever object. Actually, in field service, we've seen it being adopted by field operatives from a work order or from a service appointment. They will just tap on Hey Alfred and talk into their phone with the update that they have to share, and that's automatically transcribed, captured, and kind of readapted in there. We have our own app that runs alongside the Salesforce app, and basically sits in the background. It's what it's called a transparent app, because you would log in the first time with your Salesforce credentials, and it will be automatically activated, handling the recording in the background. And we do that because sometimes mobile connection is not stable. You're you're recording your note as you come out of a meeting. You're entering an elevator, and you will lose connection. But so we're capturing on the phone first, and then when you're back online, it will be synced through whatever connection you have, and that's when the processing will take place, and the updates will be then created. So it's very straightforward for mobile users as well.
Nice, that's great. I think we've gone through quite a lot of questions. We do have a bit more time, so if anyone has any questions for Luca or myself, feel free to ask it in the chat. Just one from me, Luca, just so I know for maybe we'll look at Alfred. But how much does the solution cost?
Oh, that's a very good question. So it's $25 per user per month. So that's the price. We also have a per org fee that we charge on a monthly basis of $499. Kind of sets the unlimited activation for unlimited calls, unlimited audio notes to be created. So for a team of 20, 25 30 people, we're talking about, maybe around around $1,000 per month, and you're covered with a completely reshaped set of data in your Salesforce and happy users that can't wait to update the records if there's such thing as like that. It's definitely coming with AI and a bit of our technology as well.
Cool, that's great. Thank you, Luca. All right, I think that is everything for questions at the moment, so we can look to wrap up. So thank you very much for everyone for attending. It's always a pleasure to speak to everyone, and thank you for all your questions as well. Luca, thank you very much for joining us. Presentation was great. Very cool to see what the future is essentially going to look like very, very soon through tools like Alfred. So yes. Any final words?
Yes, actually, a final word probably is just relating to your last question. I forgot to mention that it's actually free to start. So Alfred is, and maybe that's the invitation as we close off this this very nice event here. Just go to the App Exchange, install it directly from there. We have a set of instructions that we can send over. It's 5 minutes to install it, and you can get started for free for up to 5 users across the org. And that's a great way to start to play around with it, get a feel for it, and then hopefully, with our help and with love of your users, it will be easy to see a path forward and create a solid partnership and build the future of data together with Alfred.
Nice, that's great. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for attending. See you soon.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.